welcome to the channel. Okay, so this is Crash Mustang, I don't know, part 4 or 5, and in the last couple of parts we replaced some of the front suspension to get it rolling again. I started pulling on this bent down piece to get at least where I can turn the wheel safely without damaging the tire. And today we're going to install the Clockspring that goes in the steering column. So I didn't even think about filming this until I already started reassembling, but since I'm already halfway there, right, I might as well stop and just do a quick video. All right, so Clockspring is this. Once it's out, do not rotate it, okay, because you see that lined up section on top, like this has the yellow thing in there from the Ford, right? So this keeps it from rotating, so you know it's in the exact correct spot. On these cars, you can see there's a bolt hole here and a bolt hole here. So what I did the other day is I googled clock springs, and the first clock spring I bought from LMR to replace in that car, the red car. Even though the airbag didn't go off, the clock spring was bad, and my steering control started working, the cruise control started working, all that started working. So in this car here, it's a different type of wheel. It has only on, off, set, and resume for cruise control. Now this is like a base model cheap Mustang, but you know, 5 liter with a 6-speed. So it's kind of like to me it's like, you know, the race version if you think about it. So being a clock spring, you pull the 2 screws out, and then you just unplug this bottom electrical connector right here, and this little arm, you see this little white thing here that moves, that goes with your blinker. So that just has to go in a little to push it in, and then basically it's 2 torques. So this torque is a 20, so a T20 Torx takes it off. So I'm going to reassemble it. Okay, so I got both screws in, not too tight. My battery is disconnected, so this way I can take the airbag out. So I'm like, I will just snug it and give it a little turn, and snug it and give it a little turn. Okay, so now I'll put this cover back on, which also has 2 torque screws, but they are a smaller size, and I think it was this one here, which is a 15. Yeah, it looks like a 15. Yeah, T15. And those are for the 2 bottom ones. So we'll put this cover back on. Okay. And I can actually put the cover on with this yellow thing in there. So let me pause it, put this cover back on, put the screws in, and I'll come back. Okay, so cover went back on. It just snaps in, and then it screws into the bottom here. And now we can do is we can put the Torx and the little screwdriver away, right? And we can sit in the car. Now, what would be the next thing to do? Well, let's say we have a steering wheel that's next. So steering wheel has plugs in it. Now, I googled clock springs, and all the Mustangs take the same clock springs. So this makes me believe that if I was to put a premium steering wheel in this car with up and down radio controls and cruise control on the one side instead of just the small controls like this, that it would work, because I believe the cars are already wired for it. I just think that they put in cheaper wheels for cheaper packages. All right, so let's get this plug plugged into here. Let's remove this, right? This just pulls out like that. Do not turn the clock spring now. Okay, so we'll plug this guy here into that guy there. These guys here will go through the hole for the airbag, and then we'll get the wheel tight. All right, let me come back. Okay, and just like that, the plug is in the middle. All right, the airbag wire came through. Now, what holds the steering wheel on, you say? Well, there's a little 24mm nut that looks like this. So you just screw it into. Now, this is not a spline steering wheel. It's just a cone-shaped hexagon, I guess. And I guess it's just tapered. Okay. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Now, talking about clock springs, let's go plug that back in. Hold on. All right. You may ask why I plugged this back in. Well, I don't know that it's 100% effective because A, I can't drive the car. I got no plates on it. I got no nose on it. I just got the steering where I can steer it safely. So I don't even know if this works. I mean, it did illuminate, right? These illuminated at night with the lights. And my concern is that the car has an airbag light on, and that was the same thing in the red car. Airbag light on, I replaced the clock spring, airbag light went off. So airbag light on makes me believe that you gotta change the clock spring. So like I was saying, this was on LMR website, and I had bought hers, and it cost me like $107 out the door, and then now it was like $105.99 plus tax and shipping. So now this one I found on a dealer website for $86 out of a place called Tasca, T-A-S-C-A. I think they're in Connecticut or New York or something. And all in with shipping, it was $106. So that was good to me. So I was happy with that. So now I'll take, and it's a Ford part because here's your Ford box. So this will go back in the Ford box. And I have another clock spring somewhere from, but that was no good, so I threw it away. Okay, so this will go in the trunk of this car because when the car goes to the body shop, you know, who knows if they're like, oh, you got to replace the clock spring, and I'll be like, oh, I changed the clock spring, so this will be my proof. Now, here comes the next best part, airbags. So I did a little video on it before, but since we're doing the clock spring and we're doing the airbag, let's take this one off. Okay, so let's walk on back. We've got airbag on top. Okay, not that I gotta worry about the paint, but okay, brand new Ford Mustang airbag from the dealer. All in $145 with shipping to Florida from a Florida dealer. Okay, so now I'm gonna need an 8mm socket, and I'm gonna need a quarter drive extension and a ratchet to tighten up the airbag. So the other day I think I used a long socket right here, shorty right there. Okay, these three guys, that one guy, and these two guys, right? And my battery's disconnected, along with this guy here and this guy here, not that red one, that guy there. Okay, and this is for your TPMS sensors. I bought it off eBay, 10 bucks. Reset them for all the Fords. Well worth it if you have TPMS sensor issues. Okay, and then we got cover number 1 and cover number 2. $24 if you lose these, if you had to buy new ones. Ridiculous. Okay, let's play put in airbag. I'll be right back. Okay, so if you've never put an airbag in, you're gonna have 2 plugs in the back of the airbag. Remember, the car is powered off. Okay, so there's no battery. It could explode, who the hell knows? I mean, I don't know how it works. But these plugs here, if you look at them, they have these little side clips on the sides that you squeeze to get the clips out. Okay, so now this airbag just goes in the hole, right? And then we have to bolt it in. So let me do that so this way we don't have a bad video. All right, we're back. Now, you can look in the hole here, right there, and you could see, you see that black nut right there? Well, that's the bolt that holds the airbag in. That's the passenger side of the column, right? And there's the driver's side of the column. Now, we gotta put these little caps in. So these caps, they just sit in the hole like that. Okay, that's the door side. Let's see if we do it together. Now here's the, I'm gonna just watch it through the camera and not even look at what I'm doing. And there you go, it just sits flat in there. And now we are back in the game. So let's get rid of the impact on out of the car. Let's go hook up the battery. Okay, and let's see if we get an explosion or we get an airbag light off. So what is the hopefully possibility of it today? Possibility is to have no more airbag light. Okay, so this was probably the best price because of what these guys are just trying to get used airbags for. I got a brand new one. So Mustang got a brand new airbag and brand new Clockspring. And this is just a temporary seat until I get that seat fixed. Now make sure when you do airbags for your seats, airbag from a cloth seat goes in a cloth seat and an airbag from a leather seat goes in a leather seat. Why? I don't know. I'm just going by what I read in the part numbers, because in the part numbers they tell you cloth or leather. Okay, so it's looking a little better, but you can see we're still damaged. So my thought is, let's get back to what we were watching. Sorry. So let's not even, well, we didn't get an explosion when I put the battery on, so that was a plus. So let's put the key on. Alrighty, let's see if we can get an airbag together, or we get no airbag. I'll put it right next to my face so we know both experience it. Okay, no airbag. Radio turns automatically on. I don't know how to turn it off yet. Okay, airbag is still on. Let's start it up. Okay, let's start it up. All right, first start. Well, not really first start, but light out. Now my kid's light just went out by itself. So this one probably needs to be reset, or the module will need to be taken out and reset because it was an accident car. So probably her Clockspring just was bad. Okay. So disappointment, but not that bad. Could be worse. Could be worse. I'll be happy that I only have TPMS lights on and an airbag light on. Okay, and you can hear she's camming a little. Exhaust offensive. Oh my goodness. Expensive. Alright, so that's a wrap. TPMS and an airbag light. Alright, so if you needed to learn how to do your clock spring, here's a quick little video on how to install the airbag and get your clock spring back in. Alright, thanks for watching. Have a good day.